Tiger Woods does his little video, 30-second video, and he very nonchalantly is like, I actually went over there and just to test it out. I hit a couple off the heel, a couple off the toe. His ball, Mark, for his ball that he hit off the toe was, I don't know, a fraction of a centimeter away from the dead center of the club. Like, but for any person on earth, if you hit one there, you're like, I flushed it.
It wasn't even close to the toe. I'll show you the toe. I'll show you
parts of the club you didn't know a golf ball could reach.
Foreplay, presented by Barstool Sports, brought to you by our very good friends at Chevy Chevrolet. We got some announcements on today's show. We're adding a new event to Waste Management Week, which we're going to be out at. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then we have to talk about the Stealth 2, which came out yesterday, and Tiger Woods and his video and the whole deal. It is January 12th, 2023. When this podcast airs, we're talking on the 11th. So I don't know if that's like a lie that I just said, or
no.
I guess it depends who I'm speaking to. But in theory, I'm not speaking to you guys.
That's just being in the industry.
I'm not speaking to you. I guess at that part at the top, I'm not speaking to you guys. I'm kind of talking to the audience. Anyways, Monday, Saguaro course at Wekopa, which that's key. I know everybody. I didn't know how the fuck you say that. It's Saguaro, which is a very specific type of cactus to this region of the world. Big fucking thick cacti. I believe the I'll pull up a picture and send it to you guys. But the saguaro cactus is, again, it's the one that we use in all the graphics. The one that looked like the middle fingers in the Arizona Bowl and Scramble and all that we did, and the championship logo for the Barstool Classic. But big thick cactus, and they have the arms. And I believe the number is it takes like 50 to 100 years for each arm to grow. So if you see one of these big saguaro cacti, and they have like 3 or 4 of those things, that thing's been around like longer than the United States of America.
That's really interesting. And I never would have known to say it. I've been saying the saguaro scramble, but yeah, really exciting. The Monday before the Waste Management Open, I can't wait to get this, to get people on Wekopa. We played Max Homa at Wekopa, so you can go and see.
Different place.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What
totally different place.
About?
Yeah, that was Akshin, Southern Dunes.
Akshin. Mm-hmm. Oh, look at that.
That's a super understandable.
I don't know that we cut that. I don't know that we need. I think that's fair game.
Have we done something at Wekopa before? Did the Barstool Classic go there? Or
I've been to Wekopa.
Wekopa is Core Crenshaw, isn't it? Isn't it, Riggs?
Yeah, one of the course we're doing it on is a Core Crenshaw.
They are unbelievable.
I've definitely heard of Wekopa, and I'm not sure
Does
why.
Akshin have a little dash in between the Ak and the Shin?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I was picturing. Wekopa, Akshin. Come on, these names out there are fucking outrageous.
It is a different part of it's like a whole different world out here. I don't blame you for that. And I misspoke on both of those when I first showed up, and I was filming my dumb videos, and I was like, we're here at like AK Chin, and they're like, it's Akshin. And then I'm like, we're here at Wekopa Saguaro, and they're whatever, and they're like, no, that's not right. So I don't blame you for that, Frankie.
Wekopa.
This is probably, you guys know this, because the Wekopa Saguaro course is my single favorite golf course in Arizona, and I post about it a lot.
Oh yeah,
I've posted a bunch of photos of it. It is Core Crenshaw, who are, as hot as you could be in course architecture and the whole deal in Arizona. It's fantastic. Yes, I talk about Greyhawk a lot. That's probably my favorite overall place. The Raptor course, Talon course are as good as it gets. Raptors maybe my second favorite. But if you just take me pure golf course, I think the Saguaro course at Wekopa is my favorite course. It's stunning. There's no homes on the course because they're on a Native American reservation. They got a casino on there. It's a great spot. We're gonna have a really good time. So that is Monday, pretty much all day. It's a 2-person team scramble. 10. So you could sign up. I believe we're allowing people to sign up as 4, and you could play with your buddies, but you'd be 2 different teams of 2. $1,000 per team. That includes your green fee, breakfast, lunch, open bar, golf. Obviously, again, your greens fee, prizes. You can hang out. We'll be there. There's gonna be celebrities there. It's gonna be a fantastic time.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's fucking a huge week. It's Waste Management. Get everyone there. You can all tell me, is this the place you played Max Homa? And I'll just keep saying yes. If you see me at Wekopa,
you're going to get that
if you see me at Wekopa, just ask me, hey, what hole did you guys lose to Max Homa? And I'll just say, like, yeah, it was that playoff hole right over there. And I'll just act as though we've been there. to play a match. But looking at the images, I know this is a very familiar golf course to me because Riggs posted all the time. The mountainous backgrounds, all those saguaro cacti in the mix. It's a fucking outrageous golf course. And this has to be one of the best ones in Scottsdale, right?
This is generally like the most highly recommended, I would say, and it's player friendly. It's not easy necessarily, but it's a little bit wider off the tee for desert golf. You can find your ball a little bit more than you can in typical desert golf, and it's got Coore Crenshaw architecture, so the bunkering you'll kind of recognize. The variety of holes, the views out there, because again, there's no homes on the course. You can see the Four Peaks Mountains. With anybody ever heard of the Four Peaks brewery? They got a lot of beers around this area, that a ton of different beers are very popular. It's obviously based off of the Four Peaks mountain range, where you get four very distinct peaks. Even this time of year, they've got like snow on the top of the peaks, and you can see across this whole valley and the mountains, and it's just spectacular out there. And then they have another course at Wekopah too, the Cholla course, which that's another type of cacti. And the Cholla is the jumping Cholla, which if a jumping Cholla will go down as a plant that many, many thousands of people have believed genuinely attacks people, because the jumping Cholla, I believe the way it works is if you graze it, it attacks you, like legitimately latches out and attacks you and puts dozens, if not more, of cacti spikes into your body in a very painful way. And they're like, I think they have a little bit of something in them. So you will hurt a lot. It will take a long time to get them out of you, and you will bruise up. And pretty much everyone that lives in Arizona, plays golf in Arizona, this has happened to before, because you graze past this thing, you get close enough to it. I think it senses body heat and it attacks. And it happened to my friend Bill this past weekend. And it's all time when it happens to somebody. It sucks because you can't get the thing out, right? Because like if this same type of thing is in this person, I can't just get the thing out of the person because it'll then get me. So you have to like use a golf club and like try to chop it off the person a little bit, and then you start helping them out and taking it out. That cacti is called a jumping Cholla. I don't think every Cholla is a jumping Cholla, but the other course at Wekopah is called the Cholla course. So clearly the big theme out here, we're in the fucking desert, cacti and everything. And this plant, this jumping Cholla, when it happened to my friend Bill, his story was that he didn't even go near it. And the other guy's story was like, well, I mean, you had to be near it, because if there were just cacti running around attacking people, nobody would go to Arizona and play golf. Like that just wouldn't be a thing. That'd be an incredibly dangerous place to live and play golf. And he's like, dude, I really didn't go near it. And anyways, so yeah, we got a couple cacti out here, the jumping Cholla, the saguaro, and we're doing it at Wekopah. It's going to be fantastic. Registration 12:30 Eastern time on Friday. So that's tomorrow, January 13th. And get excited. It's going to be a great time.
Make sure you're on the website. We have a website there, 12:30. Look at all of our socials. Click the link. Make sure you're ready at 12:30, because if you're not ready, you're going to miss it. This is a limited event in Scottsdale. Everyone's going to be looking to get into it. You have to make sure that at 12:30 you are geared up on the website, sending it to your buddies, because if you're late, you're out. That's how it's always happened. How many years have we been doing the Barstool Classic?
This will be our fifth.
It's going to be our fifth year, and we've told people every single year, all 4 years for every single event, 27 different events, 24 cities, whatever it ends up being, that if you're not on the website at 12:30, when we say we're releasing it, then you're just going to miss out. And then we get so many messages being like, can we get on a wait list? What if someone doesn't show up? People always show up into the parking lot and be like, has no one showed up? I want to get in. Just fucking do it the right way and get in now. Or else, because I'm not like reading your DMs saying like, oh, if someone misses, can you message me so that I can run up to Wekopah where you played Maximum? I'm not going to do that. We're going to just see you there after you play, after you sign in at 12:30. It's as simple as that. I want you guys in, so like make sure you actually pay attention to what I'm saying. Most podcasts is just white noise. You're not actually listening to what I'm saying. Hone in right now. I'm talking to you.
These are saguaro cacti.
Oh yeah, those
things are beautiful.
It
just makes you
the
think
saguaro.
of,
they're awesome.
Everything that Frankie said is true, and think about when this is happening. That area of the country during that week is going to be the center of the universe. You got Waste Management, you got Super Bowl, we got celebrities playing in this thing. Like there's going to be a lot of action, a lot of hot action. So if you want to get involved in this scramble, you're going to have to be on that website.
This is a jumping choya, and this is, fellas, if you see one of these, stay away from it. Don't get within a
I think kind of looks mobile to me.
Yep.
It looks mobile.
Don't get within a few feet of this thing. It will, by all intents and purposes, and from what you experience, it will attack you. It will jump at you. So be careful.
Plants that can react have always put the fear of God into me.
It's a little bit of bullshit.
You know, like the Venus flytrap, I used to have nightmares about that thing where you could put your finger in it and it would that one was a little slower. It's not going to jump at you like the cactus, but just something about a plant having a brain like that really freaked me out.
Venus flytrap and quicksand, I feel like, were two things you heard about a lot when you were a kid that haven't really come across as an adult.
No, we're lucky that we don't.
Like plants should be right? That seems like one extra level that they shouldn't have. Like they should just, as long as you avoid them, they can't come at you. It's a little bit to me like snakes that they'll come from underground now, because like you can walk around in the desert and you can scan and make sure you don't see any snakes, you don't step on any, but at any moment they could just come from underground. And so in the summertime out here, when it's hot and the snakes are much more prevalent, you can look around all you want, boys and girls, but like they've got this cheat code now where they'll just come out of the fucking ground. And that doesn't seem like they should be able to do that.
I've got this plant that like goes to sleep at night. Like if you turn all the lights off, like downstairs, it just like folds up.
It's cute.
Even that, like, I don't like.
When the lights come on, it kind of just like falls out. And it's a beautiful big plant that goes on the middle of the table. But it's a while. It's been down there for like a year, and it's just alive. We take care of it. It's wild.
Wow.
I'm here. I just saw that Live Golf signed another player.
Who's
really?
that?
Do we want to take guesses?
Yeah. Well, I just kind of said the beginning
I didn't
of his
hear
first name. You didn't hear? Okay, good.
I didn't hear it either.
We can play a little 21 questions if you want.
Oh wow. Yeah, let's do it.
This is for James Corrigan, who has like basically not been wrong ever about Liv. He's very, very, very close.
Is it a top 50 player in the world?
Yeah.
Yes, top 50.
Wow.
American.
Not American.
Okay.
Holy shit.
Which seems to be an increasing strategy, which we'll talk about.
PGA Tour winner?
No.
So probably pretty young if they're top 50.
I'm out. I can't think.
You're out? You can't think of a question?
I'm just thinking about how Andrews Lee.
All right. Top 30?
Not top 30.
Okay.
Oh, so I'm
President's Cupper?
How the fuck can I think?
President's Cupper.
Oh. Bezadenhout?
Nope. Little more famous
50.
than that. I'll give you a hint. The guy had a pretty rough moment this year or last year.
That doesn't matter. I can't remember yesterday, dude. You think I'm going to remember
The guy forgot to swing in a really important moment.
Forgot to swing in a very important moment.
Do I have dementia?
And just gagged
I don't even know what
very
that
large
means.
tournament away.
Swing?
Mito Pereira.
Mito Pereira. There you go.
Wow.
You finally
I forgot
got
he
there.
existed, to be honest with you. I forgot he existed.
Oh,
Makes
that's
a lot
right.
of sense. Makes a lot of sense. He's Chilean. He's boys with Joaquin Neiman, who obviously went earlier.
We could have played 200 questions. I wouldn't have gotten there.
all of those, all the Latino guys are going, man. Like Joaquin
Mito
there,
Pereira,
Sergio Garcia's there, Eugenio Chikara's there.
He did forget a swing one time. I've never seen a person swing like that. That's
Literally,
good at swinging a golf club.
T-Rex
the
arms.
most important
T-Rex
moment
arms.
of his
Insane.
career, he forgot how to do the thing that he had been doing well for 71 holes.
It was. I remember being on that tee,
that
and
was
you're looking,
weird.
and there was like maybe 70 yards of fairway to the left side, and the only place he couldn't hit it was right in the water. And yeah, he went full T-Rex arms and was
Who
just
was in
Justin
his
Thomas
group? Was
may have
JT in his
single-handedly-
group?
No, JT
No, he
was up
was
ahead. It was him
up
and
ahead.
Fitz. It was him and Fitz because I remember Fitz was bitching about how slow he was the whole day.
Justin Thomas may have single-handedly sent this guy to live. Like the
I
guy
remember-
can't handle like just
I
the
think that's
pressure
right.
and just
I think
wants
that's
to.
I remember the official came up to Fitz and they were the last group, and the official comes up to Fitz and goes, "You need to speed up," and Fitz just goes, right over there. You talk to that guy.
Mito Pereira.
Yeah.
All right.
But like Liv is doubling down on because all of the American designated events are in the US, right? The PGA Tour is all in on America, and it does seem like Liv is trying to position themselves as the international tour, where they have more events that are everywhere else, and they're going to market these guys, and it's not going to be a US centric tour. So this makes a lot of sense, and he's joining all of his Latino buddies. I remember like when Joaquin Neiman won, it was like when Neiman won at Riviera, it was like Pereira, Sergio, all those guys were waiting on the green, ready to congratulate him. Those guys all share a house together on the road. They're really, really tight. So it makes a lot of sense.
Chevrolet, baby. Bolt to Blazer, Silverados, pickup trucks. We were talking pickup trucks last show about how pickup trucks are all over the Midwest. I think every friend I ever had growing up had a pickup truck at one point. I think my brother still drives a pickup truck. My dad drives, he has a couple pickup trucks. If you're doing pickup trucks, you're not doing a Silverado at this point. I don't know what you're doing. And they're coming out with the EV, the Silverado EV pretty soon. So you could be, still have your whole deal. The macho guy, if you want, you're driving your truck over a couple big boulders with mountains in the background, like you're playing at the Saguaro Classic or the Saguaro Scramble. And then you've got the EV function going too, which just gets you into the future.
Right. It's a little bit of both. You're doing both things at once. You can still be the guy who drives a truck, and you can just be living in the future, because we are now currently living in the future with electric vehicles, Chevy. This is the future.
Scotty Scheffler drives a Chevy Suburban, like 150,000 miles, something like that. The guy's one of the best golfers on the planet, makes millions upon millions upon millions of dollars, had one of the best financial years ever in golf if you rack them up in the annals of golf. And the guy still... And the guy still drives a Chevy Suburban.
I just drove a Chevy from Chicago to New York, and it was like the most comfortable, easy experience of all time. It was great.
Best.
With over 2,000 certified EV dealerships plus a growing network of public charging stations, Chevy is here to help you live electric. Chevrolet has electric vehicles available now. You could buy now the Bolt EV and the Bolt EUV. You can reserve now the Silverado EV. They're affordable. You don't have to be some rich person to have an EV with an established full line brand like Chevrolet that's been doing it since, what'd you say, 1916 or something like that?
It's either like 1912, I believe it was.
1911.
That's just a long time to be doing it. They offer now at Chevy multiple EV vehicles. They got the value and the variety and the value customers all over this planet have come to expect. Chevy EVs for everyone, everywhere.
Was there any backlash with the WWE announcement yesterday that Saudi Arabia bought them? I didn't see any of it. It happened when I was at the Islander game, and I mean, I saw a couple tweets and I saw Robbie Fox put up a video. But is anyone saying?
I saw some backlash, but I also saw this morning that that's not true. Robbie and
not true.
Brandon Walker this morning were saying that it's actually not happening.
Wow.
Yeah, I looked it up this morning, expecting a bunch of backlashy articles, hit pieces, and what I got was like this biography of like McMahon and the coming back and what they're not sure they're going to do. And it was posted like an hour ago. And I was like, didn't they just sell? So did everybody just do the whole headline game and just jump the gun last night and just claim they saw one thing and just said that they sold it to Saudi Arabia?
I think that's kind of what happened. Yeah. It did seem like when I went to bed last night, I will say it seemed like it was a done deal. They were like, it's the deal. The Saudis have bought it. WWE is now theirs, and that's it. And I mean, the backlash, quote unquote, that I saw was just like Brandon Walker, Robbie Fox, and everyone just being like, I don't like this at all. And a lot of it was aimed at Vince because they don't want Vince back. Vince was gone. Triple H and Stephanie took over, Stephanie McMahon, and everything has been great. People have been loving the product that they've been putting out. And then old man Vince just came back, took the reins. Stephanie stepped down yesterday, and now all hell is breaking loose. But I don't think the Saudi part is true as of 10:28 a.m. January 11th.
Is Stephanie the reasonable one?
Stephanie and Triple H are the reasonable ones, I believe. Vince is the one who's not reasonable.
Triple H is in charge.
Triple H and Stephanie, I believe, are married. So,
incredible.
And everyone,
all that.
Everyone, this could also be incorrect, but I think I sort of know. I lived with Robbie Fox for a long time, and Triple H and Stephanie, people were waiting for Vince to step down because they knew that when Stephanie and Triple H took over, that it would become a much better product, like a much more interesting product.
It's
Last
so
time I saw
wrestling that
Triple
Vince
H, he was
McMahon,
telling everybody
came
to
back.
suck it all the time.
Right.
Sorry,
but
Frankie.
I guess he's actually like a quite a business mind and quite a, he's got the WWE and all those things going in the right direction. But yeah, it is very Vince. Well, you're saying, Frankie, it's very WWE.
Wrestling. Like he comes out, the glass shatters. Like it's just the whole thing is a storyline, which I actually really enjoyed. That like it's always something going on with those guys. I always wish I got into wrestling because I think I'd like the theatrics of it.
We were into it for like 5 or 6 years, big time. But it was like early teens or something.
When we were at the Super Bowl in Minnesota and we played that game where like everyone got someone for WrestleMania, Jared Carabas basically made this game up that like we all got a different number and that was the person that ran out into the ring. And if that person just won WrestleMania, you won the pot. It was so much fun because like you didn't know who you had. And we watched like a random WrestleMania from like 2004 or something. So it was like all these huge names. I was like, holy shit, The Rock's out there and shit. I was like, and I remember like you not knowing who you're going to get. And then when that music hits and they're like, who has this number? And I'm like, it's me. They're like, holy shit, you've got him. And I was like, yeah. And then he gets thrown out of the ring. And you're like, no. Once someone touches the ground, you're out. It's so much fun.
Oh, I've done that as well with those guys. And it's incredibly fun. Wrestling. Yeah. I never got into it. And now it's funny now as an adult, I wish I was into it because you watch it as a kid and then you grow up and people are like, oh, it's not real. It's fake. And then as you get a little bit older, you realize that it being fake is part of it. And that's what's cool about it. That's the cool part. It's the self-awareness of the fan base and of the actual event itself that makes it super fun.
I mean, you're there at every event, with your brothers in arms. I mean, you're telling me there's not a Trent Ryan in every single row at every single WWE. I mean,
I got the face for it.
You've got the look of a WWE adult fan, and that's not a negative thing. It's just a fact. Like you look through that crowd and you see a bunch of dudes that look just like Trent going crazy with the hand signals and the fucking, going nuts as each guy comes up. And that's just good old fashioned adult fun is what that is.
Right. If you can, that is true. And I take no offense to you saying that I have a wrestling fan face. I think that's true. And that's just, it is what it is. But I know as you get older, you just like throwing yourself into something is super fun and like not caring that it's fake or whatever. Like it's a very cool thing that is just not a part of my life. I watch a lot of wrestling, like I said, when I lived with Robbie, but it still never took hold. So I don't think it's for me, I guess.
Yeah, like the people that hate on wrestling, why is that allowed? But like you can go watch Avatar and like not make the same example that like you sit there for 3 hours and watch just like blue people fly around into different like planets and have fights with the sky people. Like that's acceptable, but watching people do like a choreographed kind of like scripted version of sports or wrestling is not acceptable. It's almost like the wrestling's more real than anything else you watch on TV. And
I mean,
drama.
Those guys get hurt. They hurt themselves. It's theater. It's just like sports theater.
You literally watch a guy who his name is like Robert Downey Jr. and he calls himself Tony Stark and flies around as like Iron Man. It's like
right. But it's like unacceptable to think that like Triple H.
He's a person with like a family. That's not who he actually is. So it's the same exact thing. It's crazy that people get that upset. We got into it because of video games, just like we got into FIFA. Yeah. Is like whatever it was, late 90s, early 2000s. They came out with like a WCW versus NWO great video game on N64, and we would play 2-on-2 with my brother and his buddies, where you could tag the other guy in and bang people over with chairs. And I remember they eventually evolved the game to where you could do a cage match. You could do ladder matches where you had to get on the ladder and get the belt from the fucking sky. And it was the most fun thing you could do. And if somebody would actually be able to retrieve the ladder and then beat you up with it, it would like kill your guy basically. And so we got really into wrestling through that, which is the same deal with FIFA. I think it was a FIFA 98 game that came out that we got really into, and I've just been playing FIFA because of that forever. Also, just of note, Dan Rappaport just did the Lurch thing where he just texted us on the side that he's going to leave because he has to go report on some golf stuff instead of just telling us that he's going to leave.
Yeah.
I've also been to a couple wrestling events, and they're just like sporting events. You got 20,000 people packed into MSG, and the place is going crazy. When the music drops, people are going crazy. When somebody gets pinned, place is going crazy. Yeah, I'm a regretful non-wrestling fan, is how I would put it.
I enjoy the music drops. Those
Oh.
are so much fun.
Like when Cena came back after all that time.
Oh,
like
man.
I don't even know, but I know the viral clips where it's like a year ago, Cena came back, and I thought the place was going to collapse. It's incredible.
Trent, did you see that a bunch of athletes bought a farm in Iowa? Did this come across your desk? This came across my desk late last night that Joe Burrow, Blake Griffin, a bunch of MLB players, and then Anders Lee, the captain of the New York Islanders, one of the participants in the 4-man scramble against us. He purchased part of it's like a corn and something else farm.
No, this hadn't really come across my desk until I talked to you today, right before the podcast, and now you're giving me more details. The only time, and I'm very curious to hear what the reasoning is, the only other time I hear about these types of things when, sometimes Facebook will buy a bunch of acres of land in the middle of Iowa so they can house their server farms out there. They just put a bunch of servers out in the middle of Iowa. I would imagine Anders Lee and Joe Burrow are not interested in putting servers in the middle.
No, they're
of
just
my
looking to get farms, dude. So they're all part of this group, like Patrikov, and they're just looking to purchase up farms. And they said like a watermelon farm in Oregon is on the horizon. Like they're just trying to make non-traditional investments. Like Kevin Durant, LeBron James have all invested in all these things. It's crazy. It's all these people are investing in like the middle of the country. I guess it's just more stable. I don't know. I don't understand what
something's fishy.
I don't know. Maybe all these people with money
you're
are just
also
going to another
buying
country because they know something's going to happen.
Because you're buying like the one thing that's not gonna like shrink, which is just part of Earth, right? Like
right.
Yes,
and
but
very
why
valuable
is it
part of Earth?
why
Like
is- why are
Iowa's
they-
Iowa's like the most valuable soil on Earth.
But why are they putting together ownership groups to buy farms? Like, wouldn't they just buy it on the side? Like, wouldn't Anders Lee and Joe Burrow just be like, hey, money guy, buy a bunch of farms, and so like if all this goes to shit, we'll make a ton of money. But why would LeBron and Durant and Burrow and Lee
I think the
all go
farms
together
cost
and
like
then make it super public?
Because I think the farms cost like $50 million, and they just like it's like an investment. It's like they all get together and it's like owning percentage of a farm. They all got together. It's an investment group. They all got together and they're like, I want this farm for $100 million. I'll put 10 million in. You want 20 million? You get that. So as they receive the profits of these watermelons, it's fucking nuts. It's a corn and soy farm. They're in the corn business. And what that means for me is I have to start photoshopping a lot of pictures of Anders Lee as a farmer. It's just something that I have to do now.
I mean, farms generate a lot of revenue.
I want to get involved in a farm.
Something's fishy about this.
You're a farm guy. You don't see the value in farm. You're the corn boy.
I see the value in it. I don't understand the way that they're going about it is my question. Like why
an investment group? Like when they buy a baseball
part.
team, like an investment group. Like you don't have enough money to buy the whole thing, or you don't want to put all your money into a farm. So you're like, I'll buy 10% of it, and then at the end of the year, when you split the profits, I get 10% back.
Listen, I'm pleased that the big athletes of the world, and now it's fine. It's taken Anders Lee to buy a farm for Frankie to respect Iowa, but
I don't respect Iowa that much. I find it interesting.
That's crazy, but I'm just a little. It's just all seems a little strange to me. But okay, wow,
it is strange. It's a very strange thing to see those names all together. It's funny.
It does make you think that the end of the world is happening.
Yeah, like the coasts are about to get washed out, and they're all like buying up land in the middle of the country.
Right. Like we're buying this soybean farm, but they're actually just going to put their houses out there when their mansions in California and New York fall in the ocean.
That's right.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look into it.
Saguaro scramble.
What? You said celebrities are going to play in it. Is it public knowledge to us of if what's his name is going to play in it? We don't have to say his name, but singer that has a big name.
I don't know. I've heard that's not like in any way a lock is what I've kind of heard.
We've been having some because there's a lot of interest in the Saguaro Scramble, and we've been getting some names tossed around because obviously it's a huge week in Scottsdale, probably the biggest one I would say. And I mean, we've been getting some names tossed around that I haven't heard in years. That they're like, this guy's going to come play in the Saguaro Scramble. We're like, what? That guy? What are you talking about? That guy's just going to come play amongst like a bunch of people. So it'll be a little tease. Maybe if you go to the Saguaro Scramble, you'll see who I'm talking about. If that guy shows up, it's going to be a showstopper is what that's going to be. It's almost like how Steph Curry just showed up to the Barstool Classic in San Francisco, just like randomly just popped
Stunner.
up.
If it was like Friday of that week, I could see there being mega celebrities. I don't know that like the celebrity crew was in town yet on Monday of that week. Are they? Maybe they are.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah.
Because there is like, there's media days like what, Tuesday of Super Bowl week? And like they do Radio Row and all the bullshit all week. So
yeah, I think they start getting into
that.
town that Sunday, Monday. Because
there's Super Bowl parties, right? There's Super Bowl week parties that happen. Yeah, I think they probably do get into town around that time.
There'll probably be some big fucking names. The thing is, you need to be in town by Sunday night before the Super Bowl to like really play in this event.
Right.
That's so great. I think for the locals and the people that are making a vacation out of it and doing the whole week, like that's a no-brainer. But I think for like the celebs, I could see them coming in midday Monday. But there will definitely be some names there. I just don't know. I don't know. We've been trained to learn that like every.
Can we ask Anders Lee about the farm?
Ishbeg, what's up with your farm?
Bro? I'm not saying now. I'm saying if I see him. If I see him, can I be like? Because we talked. Him and I talked a good amount about high school football. I probably played football like a mile away from these farms that they're buying up. But I want to just be like, I don't want it to be like a secret society thing where I ask him about the farms and then I disappear.
I mean, because it's on all of these websites, it's on like Forbes Business. I think it's on CBS. It's on all these websites. I'm pretty sure you're able to ask him like, hey man, so you got this farm like in my hometown. Like, what's that
it's an
about?
easy topic for me to bring up.
Super easy topic.
I mean, like, hey, I grew up. Does it say in what part of Iowa?
I don't know. It's in the Des Moines Register.
That's a big paper.
In Iowa.
Lake Griffin.
That's a huge paper. So it's our capital city.
What's this look like right here, Trent Ryan?
It looks like a Whoop because I got one on as well.
There it is.
It's the Whoop, and it's the Whoop 4.0, which is sleek. It's sleek. Research has shown that right now is when people are most likely to abandon their resolution. That's why we've been using Whoop to make sure we stick with our 2023 goals. Whoop is a fitness wearable that tracks and breaks down your daily sleep, recovery, and activity. Thanks to their super detailed breakdown of data, it can help to show you how resolutions are positively impacting your recovery, sleep, and health. I'm excited because I woke up at 92% recovery today, which is great. I haven't had that. I will say that my recovery might be a little bit skewed. Like they're like, wow, for you, this is amazing based on kind of what's been going on. But I'll take it when you get that green right there. Like I got, that's just an incredible. It kind of matches up with my ring light right there. So, anyways, Whoop is great. They're the official fitness wearable of the PGA Tour. You see Rory and JT; these guys are very into it, and they're the top of the game. You might not feel or see the difference right now, but Whoop can help you show the improvement you are making based on your own data. So you're not going to be tricked. You're not going to be thinking one thing while your body's actually doing another. You're just going to know. You can go to whoop.com. That's WHOOP.com, whoop.com, and enter code 4 to save 10% off any membership today. That's whoop.com. Enter code 4 and save 10% off any membership today. Get yourself the new Whoop 4.0. They had all kinds of great data points, including skin temperature and blood oxygen and all the stuff that we mentioned. That's whoop.com. Use the code 4. Newspaper names are very funny to me. That it's like the Chronicle or like the
What's
Post
the name
or
of
the
your
Times.
What's the name of your hometown newspaper?
St. Louis Post-Dispatch is like the biggest one.
The biggest one
that
for
I
us is the Cedar Rapids Gazette.
Okay,
Frankie.
Yeah,
It's,
I
like
will
the
say
East
that
Meadow
last
Herald
time,
is like very, very small one.
yeah, yeah. I remember like I think a couple years ago I went to the St. Louis Post Dispatch website. I was trying to find some more details about a blog I was writing or something, and it just was I had in my brain growing up there that it was like basically the New York Times and like on that level. I went to a website and it was like I was on like the Daily Mail meets like what like hotornot.com now, and it was like I had to click 37 ad agreements
Oh,
to
yeah.
get to like I was like what the fuck happened, so I didn't make it through it, but I don't know
Yeah.
if it's still bigger now. I have no idea.
Newspapers, they've just had a tough go, I would say, the last 20 years. You know,
Yeah, they got dominated.
The internet is just around, and you're right. You go to some of these, like I think if I went to the Des Moines Register website right now, I would only get to read half of an article before I would be asked to subscribe before I can finish it.
Mhm.
Like that's kind of the only way that they can make money now. So yeah, newspapers, like my parents don't even read the newspaper
They
anymore.
still
My
get
dad's
that pop
70.
on big event nights, like Newsday on Long
Yeah.
Island is like when if the Islanders have like a big game, like you do want to see like if they make the back page. That's still sort of a thing in culture, I think, from like some people. Definitely not the younger generation. They don't even know what the back page is. But like I know that like I kind of get the feeling when I see the paper and I'm like, oh shit, Brock's on the back page because he scored a game winner. It's fucking awesome.
That's fair.
Yeah, I
That's
think
fair.
it's still a part of like being cool.
Like when I remember when Iowa football in 2015, when they went undefeated, a big memorabilia sell at the end of the season was a picture of all the front page of all the wins in every week. So they would be
Mhm.
like, it just had like unlike the whatever they put up on the thing, and that was cool. It was cool to see like historically each week what the paper said about them. But as a daily read,
No,
I would
tough.
suppose
I
it's
saw
way
one of the
better.
guys after the national championship game on Georgia. Like they gave him the newspaper for the next morning, and he took like a sick photo of him smoking a cigar, reading the paper with their picture saying champions on it.
That's cool.
That was cool, and like that's what I mean is like it's still a part of culture that like an 18-year-old college football national champion was given a back page of a newspaper to like take a photo on. That made me a little bit more happy that like that is still, because I don't care about like the thick of the newspaper. I never did. I always cared about it's like almost reading a picture book. I cared about the back page. I cared about the standings. Obviously, this was before I was checking like Google and the score app.
So you
every
just
single
care
time.
about the Islanders, so
I-
that's just
No, I
been
cared
the
about
same
just like the big
thing.
sports stuff. I didn't like read the fucking like, whoa, this new restaurant zoning in East Meadow is coming in and everyone should go vote at the town square. I'm not fucking doing that. I'm looking at pictures, colors. I'm looking at guys smoking cigars. And I hope that sticks around. I hope you know what? Maybe just turn into just like one page. You drop one page off to every single house. And it's just a photo. It's just a photo on newspaper. And it's just, this is what it is. Like this was the biggest photo of the last night. And I'd sign up for that. I'd pay $10 a month for that.
Bro, that's just the internet. They're
Yeah,
I would
the
pay
internet
10.
at that point.
I know. I'd pay
It's
$10.
Instagram. You're basically
I would pay
just
$10 a month for it to
Instagram.
come on a piece of newspaper
Frankie
leaf
wants them
paper.
to print out
Yes.
the most liked picture on Instagram every day and
Yes.
drop it off at his doorstep in the morning.
And then you just kind of look at it. You look down. You're like, oh, sick. Look at this thing. It's
That's
a little bigger
interesting.
than it is on the phone. You can feel it.
I remember it was a big deal when I was playing football in high school, and you would hope that your picture would get in the paper or
Mm.
the write up about the game. They would mention something that you did. That was always a big deal.
Yeah, that's cool.
But that's very specific. But I think
Our big one was there's a website, USHR, which was United States Hockey Report, and they would pick a few games a weekend basically that they would do a write-up about. And if they did a write-up about your game and you had a good game, it would like catapult you into getting recruited to colleges. So immediately after every game, and then because we played a lot on Saturdays, and then all day Sunday, you would just scour that website, and it was the only website we lived on. And you just, if you could get on there, it was game changing.
Oh, a cool thing we used to do after football games, after we won, we would listen to local radio on the bus back to school, and they would give a game recap, and they would be like, and Trent Ryan forced a fumble and recovered by, so-and-so player, and the fucking bus would erupt. That was the most fun I've ever had in my entire life.
That's
incredible.
too good. Unreal. Another thing that's too good, TaylorMade Stealth 2. So
Yeah.
yesterday was the big launch. I don't know if you have a phone, you probably saw. My favorite part by far, Tiger Woods does his little video, 30-second video, and he very nonchalantly is like, I actually went over there and just to test it out. I hit a couple off the heel, a couple off the toe to really test, and it actually is a little bit more forgiving. And he shows the mark, and I mean, his ball mark for his ball that he hit off the toe was, I don't know, a fraction of a centimeter away from the dead center of the club.
Yeah.
He's
Maybe.
programmed. He is programmed to hit the center of the face. Even exactly what you're saying. Heel just maybe a millimeter off the toe.
I mean,
maybe a millimeter off.
Where he hit it in the toe would be, that is by all accounts the sweet spot. Like, but for any person on earth, if you hit one there, you're like, I flushed it.
It wasn't even close to the toe. I'll show you the toe. I'll show you
parts of the club you didn't know a golf ball could reach.
We got to do that thing where we put the baby powder on the face.
I like
and
that.
you see, because I mean, when he hit that ball, I was like, wow, that really shows all the impressions and the dimples of the golf ball. That was really cool. I never even thought of that showing the baby powder. But
I'm going to add that to our ideas list.
It is so
that.
sometimes. So the Stealth 2 is amazing, and it is important and noteworthy that Tiger Woods chooses to use these clubs. Like, I think that we get lost a little bit because we're living during this time that, oh yeah, of course, Tiger Woods is a TaylorMade athlete, so he's going to use that club and it's their new product, so he's going to make a video and all that. But you got to understand, and we're talking about Mozart picking his musical instruments. This is a guy who historically is the best golfer of all time and will continue to be that for the next couple hundred years. And during this time, when he was alive and playing golf, he chose to play TaylorMade and use the Stealth 2. Like, I think that gets lost sometimes, just how important Tiger Woods is and how important the clubs that he specifically chooses to use, how important that is.
And the only thing he wants to do is win. That's all he wants to do is win. He doesn't want to get paid. Like, he makes plenty of money.
Right.
He's literally like the response to that could be like, oh, he gets paid to use. Well, he would get paid by any company to use anything. He's just only wants to win majors. That's it.
Exactly. It's super interesting and super important. Now, we use it because it has great forgiveness. We just talked about it. I hit it all over the face, sometimes barely on it, like whatever. And we love it, and it works for us. We got to test it and use it, and it's fucking unbelievable. So guys like us can use it, and then a guy like fucking Tiger Woods, the greatest of all time, also uses it. So that's the sort of range that it has.
I think Rory McIlroy uses it. I think Scotty Scheffler uses it. I think Colin Morikawa uses it. It's sexy. The club is sexy. The big takeaway that they were really harping on with us is, yes, everybody got the speed from the TaylorMade Stealth original. That's why all those guys were using it. You could see guys that weren't even contracted to use it were using it because speed, the ball comes off faster. It's great, whatever. What they really focused on was obviously protecting and holding on to that, which they did, and then adding forgiveness. And forgiveness at every level of the game, especially Tiger when he's hitting them, basically shanking them off the toe. You got to have that forgiveness, and they've added that to the TaylorMade Stealth too. So I'm fired up to get mine. We hit ours, and we put that video out. You can check it out. We hit ours like 3 months ago now, and then they take them away from us, and we're going to get them back here pretty soon. I cannot wait to get my Stealth 2 back.
They do take them away from us. We get to hit them. We love them. We fall in love with them, and then they take them away.
What's crazy is that
they won't let us leave property.
People thought that we like edited that video and only showed all the good ones. Like, if you look on our Instagram, everyone's like, we show all of our first swings with them, and all four of us piped it right down the middle. Of course, Dan's like, I slept, or whatever he said. I don't even know, but he hit it right down the fucking middle. And everyone's like, oh, how long did it take these guys to find the best one? It's like, you could go ask the TaylorMade guys in the background. You could hear them. The guys who built the golf club are like, holy shit. All four were right down the middle, every single swing.
What's the psychology behind that? Behind those people not wanting our first swings to be good? I don't understand that.
Like, they right. They think that we're just lying.
Why would we've never done that. We don't do that.
Right.
We literally we film a bunch of shit and we just put it out.
You know what sucks? Last year we did the same video. We've always put out us hitting bad shots. It's crazy that we're not given that moment that when we all hit 4 perfect shots, that it's like it should be a shocking, exciting like time that all 4 of us hit the ball down the middle, because for 5 years and on YouTube or whatever it's been, we've only shown the bad stuff. So it's like We've earned that right for that to be a legitimate shocking moment. But instead people think it's a lie, which is like, if we only showed the good shots, then then you can start like piecing together like, oh, we're like fabricating our golf games and we're not showing the good, we're not showing all the bad swings. That's literally the opposite of what we do. So the day that we do all hit 4 good shots, how is the first thing you think about is that it can't be real? What are you talking about? Why? That's why it's exciting. That's why it's a video. That's why that was a clip.
You're also
You know what I mean?
talking about commenters on the internet, like who?
No, it's just
No.
yeah, for sure. I
Say
know.
about
But the
anything, but yeah.
psychology behind it is interesting because
Mhm.
it's like we just put things out that we film. It's not, there's no big thought behind it. as surprising as that may sound, it's just like, let's film something and put it out. It's very interesting. But the Stealth 2 is amazing. I can't wait to get my hands on it and put that thing into play.
They brought back the glossy, like glass finish top. The Stealth 1 was a matte top. Let me tell you something about this new look. Because I would say that for me, like 95% of the driver is how it looks behind the ball. Because if you're going to tell me all the technology and all that stuff, when I'm like hitting draw hooks and I'm hitting like slices into the driving range from the first tee, like at some point the technology, it's all about like my swing at some point. The technology obviously helps. Like forgiveness is their new term. It's going to go farther. It's definitely going to be more forgiving. And we have videos throughout this new TaylorMade series that are going to prove that it is way more forgiving. So that's factually correct. But they nailed the look of it. Like when I look down at the ball, that's like what I'm purchasing. I'm purchasing a new piece of awesome equipment that obviously is a good chunk of change because it's the best on the market. You look down at it, it's got to look good. And I never really fell in love with the matte top. I know that I think there may be a chance to like change it back to the matte. I don't know if it's going to all be customizable, but I know the one that's coming standard has the red face with the glossy mirror top. And I fucking love that look. I've always loved that look. I've loved it on other golf clubs. I've loved it throughout my whole entire life. I've always had a glossy top driver. The fact that that's back is huge for me. It just looks really, really, really clean. Really clean.
So go check it out. Go to TaylorMade's website. Get jacked up because boy, oh boy. And I mean, when they put it in play, right, those guys get to choose what they want to use. The money is so astronomical now, which we've discussed at length, that every shot difference is going to be worth whatever they're getting paid by TaylorMade pretty much, especially when they finish in the top 5 and it's a $2.7 million versus $1.5 million for second versus this much. A shot or two a week, and all of a sudden you're pretty much paying for what an endorsement deal is going to cost. So they're just using the best. And when that new driver comes out and they put it in play, which they're all rocking it, which they were last year, they're rocking it this year. Tiger was using the Stealth 2 when you saw him play at PT. Like clearly they like it and they're rocking it. That's a great sign. So TaylorMade Stealth 2's out. It's fucking very, very, very exciting. Congrats to that team. We know those people incredibly well inside and out. We went to Scotland with them. We've done the whole deal. And I know it's a lot for them to roll something out. I mean, I can't even imagine that effort it takes in 1 year to roll out a whole brand new driver. So
no clue. That's crazy.
So it's
and it's the best.
Awesome.
People know TaylorMade's. Like, there's all these other brands that are making these big social pushes and all this stuff, and there's a reason for that. It's because TaylorMade's just been stomping the competition into the ground for years upon years. And like you said, when you look at the people that are using it, they don't even like. You don't need to explain why it's the best. You just have to look at who's using the golf.
Literally,
clubs.
just say Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, Frankie Borelli. Those
Yeah,
are the only names that you need to hear.
Day, it's just like,
Scotty Scheffler.
what are we even pushing? Like, it's just a fact that it is the best driver. It's a fact that it's the best one.
No, these guys know.
It's not an opinion. I wish it could be an opinion. I wish it could be something that we could debate. But unfortunately, it's not.
I got to bring up Ian Poulter. I hope you guys saw him last night tweeting. But Ian Poulter tweeted out.
Blocked.
I couldn't see it either. I saw a bunch of people screenshot it because I think so many people were blocked that so many people had to screenshot it. He last night the European Ryder Cup account tweeted out something about incredible touch from Francesco Molinari, just a clip from whatever. And Ian Poulter responded to it and said, "What's really an incredible touch is the players that help build the Ryder Cup Europe brand with other players as well. You just can't bring yourself to say simple happy birthday. The Sergio Garcia birthday yesterday, unfortunately, this says so much."
Wait, what?
He wanted the Ryder Cup.
He's
account
mad
to wish
that
Sergio
the Ryder
Garcia.
Cup. Europe account didn't wish Sergio Garcia happy birthday the day before, which he also outed himself as Michael Scotting himself because his birthday is today.
Oh.
So what happened then was Live Golf had not tweeted happy birthday to Ian Poulter either. So Live Golf, 16 minutes after that tweet from Ian Poulter, tweeted happy birthday to Ian Poulter.
Well, I mean,
I think he's doing this comically.
well, also,
I do not.
you are also a huge birthday guy, so of course you're going to agree with Ian Poulter here.
Well, no, I'm not agreeing. I think he's doing it like with some sort of comedic tone to it. You don't think? You think he's legitimately taking to Twitter to wish himself happy? You don't think he's being like Ian Poulter, the fucking jokester, being like, "Is anyone going to wish me a happy birthday?" Come on,
because there's such Live undertones. I think he's literally like, the European Ryder Cup has completely abandoned all of the players that built European Ryder
that's
Cup.
crazy. That's
that's very clear, and that they're not wishing us happy birthday.
I mean, the last sentence I can't take seriously.
I followed him for as long as I could before he blocked me. I the vibe that I get, and maybe I'm just completely misunderstanding the comedic genius that is Ian Poulter, but I think he's mad.
Wow. Yeah, that says a lot about him, I guess. I would, from what we've heard from people that are close with Ian Poulter, I thought that he had enough like comedy in him to be able to make that joke and be like, is anyone going to wish me like a Michael Scott joke? Like saying like, you guys don't even wish the people a happy birthday on the team, Sergio, yesterday. And clearly it's his birthday as he's tweeting that. It's very funny to me that like, if he actually is trying to do that.
It's the Live undertones that make it
right
less.
And to the Michael Scott comparison, like Michael Scott's not joking. He's like very much wants a happy, but he's like rattled that people
right, which is insane for someone to do that in real life. Is my point. It's like you have to be so out of touch.
That's our point. Yeah, I agree.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that would be insane.
I mean, we've given him a lot of grief over the years to the point where I think he said that we verbally assaulted him or something.
Yeah.
But I would love nothing more than to get inside the brain of Ian Poulter and have him on the show. We've also had people that we know sort of extend not even an olive branch, just a question of would you ever do something with these guys? And boy, did we get a hard no. So
yeah.
I just don't think that it's happening.
We had Trevor Immelman and Pat Perez do that while we were in their company having a couple drinks with them, and they were like, we've made this point so many times, which I think is in line with Frankie of like, dude, Ian Poulter on the show would be great. I'm sure he'd be funny. We go back and forth. It'd be an all-time episode. And they've been like, of course he'll do it. He's the man. Let me reach out to him. And then 5 minutes later, they're like, oh, man, no, he hates you guys.
Not, yeah.
And what that says to me is that we saw through what he was trying to do, and we touched on truth, and he is not happy about that. Like, I wish he was this comic character who, just loved Ferraris and, would do all these different things. And I think that's a way to view him, but I don't know if it's necessarily the accurate way. I think he's actually an asshole.
That's my understanding thus far. Maybe if he came on the show, we could figure that out.
He's got to come on the show. He's got to clear it up.
Of all the apps on my phone, I would say this one, which is Rocket Money, is perhaps the most genuinely helpful to my life and my habits.
Yeah. All the other, like I use Twitter, I use Instagram. Those ones are just, it's a lot of doom scrolling, for being honest. But with Rocket Money, it's giving me information that I can actually use. It shows me how much I'm spending on Uber Eats, how much I'm spending on Ubers, how much I'm spending on coffee. Like having it itemized and broke down that way. And then also the feature where it can cancel subscriptions that you forgot about. It'll go through, you just give it all your information. It'll audit the whole thing. It'll be like, hey, did you know you have this, 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 and this? And if you see something you haven't used in a year or you don't use it all anymore, you just have them cancel it and they'll do it. Rocket Money is legitimately useful.
Guess what percentage of people have subscriptions they forgot about?
100%.
It's got to be way over 50%.
I had 4, so
4%.
No, I had 4 subscriptions that I thought that I had forgot about.
Oh, so
gotta be everybody.
Over 80%. Over 80%
Wow.
of people have subscriptions they forgot about, like that streaming service you bought to watch just one show on, or that free trial you never even used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you do not want. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as a click of a button. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel. Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Those are the worst. We love this app. It's fantastic. So stop throwing your money away. Cancel unwanted subscriptions and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/4. That's rocketmoney.com/4. rocketmoney.com/4. It appears Dan Rappaport's back, but he's still on mute. Can you hear us, Dan Rappaport?
Speaking of Ian Poulter,
We'll just jump right back into it.
Speaking of Ian Poulter, he is a cast member in the Netflix show, which just announced its name, its release date, and there's a trailer.
Wow.
Fantastic. That's
Full swing. It's called Full Swing, and it comes out on
shout out
February
Full Swing launch
15th.
monitors.
What date does it come out?
February 15th.
I'm excited for that.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Shout out
Oh,
Full Swing
yeah.
fucking launch monitors getting that name on Netflix.
You guys got to watch. I mean, the
That's
trailer
nice.
is fucking electric.
Dan Rappaport is involved in this show.
Yeah, there's I think we can find. I mean, my voice I think is in the trailer. I'm gonna watch it right now. But yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what I'm allowed to share, but my voice is in the trailer, so that's not by accident, I would think. But yeah, super exciting. I think what's cool about this is that there's a lot of live stuff in there. I think a lot of people
Has to be.
A lot of people were afraid that this was going to be a PGA whitewash show, that it was just going to ignore live golf or just shit on live golf. But Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, and Ian Poulter are all like big time cast members. And the show tells the story of professional golf in 2022. And you just cannot tell that story without talking about live golf.
No, that would be disingenuous.
It would be disingenuous. So it's very, very exciting. I've been trying to, keep sort of my involvement a secret for a while, but you never know how much you're going to be in it until the actual show drops. But I did quite a bit of interviews for the show.
Oh, that was my thing when I did the Bachelor luggage poll.
Yeah,
I told like 3 people, and 2 of them are on this Zoom. Like,
yeah,
I didn't tell you because you don't know if it's going to totally get cut. And if you're walking around being like, "Hey, I'm all over this show," I'm like, "Really? It's going to be a big moment. It's going to be fucking awesome." And then they just cut it. You're like, "I'm an asshole." So
yeah,
you keep it tight.
I've told a lot more than 3 people. I think I've probably told everybody that I know. Especially my fiance, anytime she gets drunk, she's like, "You guys hear that Dan's in a Netflix show?" And so she just can't, she can't keep it to herself. But it's very exciting. I mean, look, it's hard to judge. It's going to be hard for us, I think, to judge how good the show is. Maybe not. But for me personally, because I was so close to it, but it's like with F1, I'm coming in with basically no knowledge.
Right.
So everything is new, right? Like you tell me about this friendship between players. I got no idea. They're going to talk about the JT and Spieth friendship and stuff. And it's like, we've all seen that a jillion times. So the show has to be made. I was talking to the producers. They were saying Netflix needs someone who doesn't watch golf at all to be able to consume this show. So it's probably going to be, I don't know if dumbed down is the right word, but it's going to be digestible for people who aren't us.
Gotcha.
Do we know like the Formula One community, like the foreplay of Formula One? What is their take on Drive to Survive?
I think they think it's like very over dramatized.
Okay.
And I know that there was like some beef with Verstappen. Like he didn't like the way that he was portrayed. I think they just really drum
but
up
that's all
storylines.
good stuff. That's great. Like if the players don't like the way they're portrayed, that's fantastic. But for
that
a
is
fan,
a good question. That is a good question, Riggs. How do the hardcore F1 fans feel about Drive to Survive?
Right.
I don't know.
Because they might I could just see going through it and being like, this is a recap of everything that I saw with like a little bit more. But that little bit more can make the difference and make everything awesome. Like, JT in his car or whatever I just watched on this trailer, like that stuff, we don't get any of that.
None.
In real time.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, they film at all these guys' houses. They film, they're inside the locker rooms of all of these tournaments. They're at all the parties after the guys win the majors. So, I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of like really cool insider access. It's just, I don't know how much of the information itself is going to be new for some of us who have lived, breathe and eat this stuff.
Probably very little, right? But I also would say that's true with the Formula One, where it's like, I don't think that if you followed F1 start to finish, you knew where this guy was thinking about going because he already went there and left that team, and you knew that, you know what I mean? This guy, like, you knew all that shit. So it doesn't change anything. I'd be surprised if there's like any new information, but I think you could learn, hopefully you'll learn like different dynamics of relationships. That's what I could understand. Like people, certain golfers, names, caddies, whoever's like reaction to certain things happening and being like, oh, there's something interesting here. Cause that on the Drive to Survive stuff was fucking unreal. And the drivers would get into it with each other, or with their team, or like they'd be bitching about the car, and then they'd show them behind the scenes with the manager of the team. Like that stuff was like, oh fuck, they're like really getting into it. That stuff was awesome.
Yeah, and I saw some clips from the Fitzpatrick episode, and there's just like certain things that just don't make the telecast, where like he hits a bad shot and you just see the bad shot, but like the Netflix cameras, because they're right there, they can hear him being like, "You absolute twat." You know what I mean? Like things that you just don't hear, where it's like, yeah, they're normal guys who talk themselves on the golf course. It definitely humanizes a lot of them. Fingers crossed. If this is anything near the impact on golf that F1, that the Drive to Survive had on F1, and granted, golf is starting from a much higher spot. F1 had basically no footprint in the United States. Golf has a pretty large footprint in the United States. So I don't think we're going to see the same percentage growth and everything that we saw with Formula One, but we just got to make golf cool. And I think this is something that's going to try to do that.
I think one of the big issues with golf, in that it's not going to translate, is like, I think going to a Formula One, Grand Prix is fucking awesome by all accounts. I've never been, and considered to be awesome. And I think going to golf tournaments is generally disappointing. Like
there's definitely like built-in advantages for F1. And it's also like they're going in Ferraris 200 miles an hour around corners. They could actually die. And it's like, it's kind of a travel show. It's like yachts and princes in Monaco and golf is like, here's this putt in Charlotte. Yeah, it doesn't exactly have the same sex appeal.
Well, you can't even see the putt in Charlotte. Like you could see like a couple shots and a couple players, and like you can't get around the property. And then the people that you see, instead of like yachts and Tom Brady's there, it's like you see like fucking a bunch of suits from like JP Morgan are up in that suite on 14, and you're just kind of like, well, that's cool, good for them. They got like free fucking steaks. So it's just like, I think it's golf. Like, we just have to admit, golf is lamer than Formula One, like inherently. For a fan. So it's like, you're going to have to, unless you're really into it and you understand the, playing it and how hard it is, and like courses and all the different elements that you can get into, like for somebody coming in bland, it's just lamer and like more boring than Formula One. And that's going to be a hard thing to overcome, I think.
Well, and they got lucky, Netflix, in this year, that the off the course stuff was a soap opera. So hopefully you can lean more into that and get, inform people of exactly what's going on and why these guys are leaving, and give them the whole live angle, because I agree with you. Like, on course footage, other than temper tantrums and, huge success and winning, outside of that, you're not going to get a ton, but the off the course stuff is just as interesting as any other sport.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a full blown drama this year, which is
Right.
insane. I mean, they can absolutely put this in the drama section of Netflix as opposed to like the sports day-to-day
but you're right.
operations.
It's like, I just don't. Yeah, the golf shots themselves just all kind of look the same and just aren't necessarily that cool. So it's I wouldn't be surprised if we see very few like actual golf X's and O's action.
I will say, when I watch, I've only seen the first season of Drive to Survive, and they definitely show a lot of racing. But I don't necessarily fully grasp like what's happening when I'm watching it. Like, they obviously only show the moments that are super high octane and like, oh my God, this guy's going to pass this guy at the end of a race. Like, they don't show the middle parts of the races when there's nothing going on.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see any shots from like Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of basically any tournament.
Right.
And it's really interesting because like being a part of this show, basically for the whole year. This was something that started before I came to Barstool. The amount of stuff that they filmed, every single day, I was wearing a mic a lot, and they were filming practice rounds, and they were filming first rounds, and then you got to boil all of that footage down to I think there's 8 episodes, so it's like 6 hours total, 6.5 hours total, basically. So it's really only the best of the best. Like the vast majority of interviews, there are people that they interviewed who they just don't use in the show. There are players, because if you look at the initial list of players, there's like Max Homa's on there, Abraham Ancer's on there. There's a lot of Sergio Garcia. There's a lot of players who signed agreements to participate who don't end up getting featured in the show. I would not want to be the one who's making that phone call saying, hey, I know that we bothered you all year. I know we made you wear a mic. I know that we came to your house and filmed you, but you didn't quite cut it. Sorry, pal.
I can't stop laughing thinking about the guys at Full Swing Launch Monitors like popping champagne at their headquarters right now. Imagine, it's the biggest show in golf, and it's just your company name. Like whenever someone Googles it, it's just gonna pop up like their launch monitors and their simulators. Like imagine the show was
gonna
called,
push them like 13 pages down on the Google.
No, I think it would do better. Imagine the show was just called Trackman. It's just like, oh yeah, it's just like a thing that's in golf. It's like, what are the odds that they picked the exact name of a product in golf? You know what I mean? Like, out of all the names that you could have picked, you just picked like the exact. When you type in Full Swing into Google, it's just all their websites and social. It's insane.
It is going to go one way or the other, like Riggs is saying. It's going to go more. It's going to be brand awareness or not.
I think it can only help. You just like, it's a famous name now. It's like Netflix.
True.
It's going to be the biggest show in golf history. It's just the name of your product. Like.
You think it's good? I guess it probably is good, but I don't know.
What, the name?
No, I'm saying
I think it could be bad. I think it could be bad because I think
for the business,
literally every result would be like article after article after article about Full Swing, and then like the Full Swing.
Depends on how Google does it.
Like,
do they put like the domain Full Swing up to the top? Like when you type it in, like will they always like cater to the actual website that'll just be the first search, and then all the news and articles will be below it? You know what I mean? Because it's legit fullswing.com. So if you type it in, I'm pretty sure they cater to like domains and websites first, and then news articles second.
It will happen as the show starts to go and players are giving quotes that are interesting. People will be writing articles being like, in the show Full Swing.
For sure.
And those articles it'll be an avalanche. But you make it, that's an interesting point about like having the actual domain name. It might stay at the top.
Right.
What do you think?
If you type in Barstool Sports, no matter how many articles are written about it, I'm pretty sure the first thing that always pops up is the website Barstool Sports, and then like below it, it's like, all right, there's a USA article.
I would also say like Barstool Sports gets like hundreds of millions of hits. I don't know that Full Swing Simulator's website gets hundreds of millions of hits.
I totally get
Google
it.
Barstool Sports, and the first thing top is the Barstool Store, which is great. And then BarstoolSports.com. And then under that is a bunch of articles.
Yeah, the Barstool Store being up there is great. That makes me think it's going to be very good for them.
Right. What do you guys think of the name just like as a name for a television show?
Full Swing.
I don't love it for like what the show is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like a drama-filled show about like the PGA Tour and Live and all that stuff. I don't know. It didn't hit me that much.
It's not Drive to Survive.
No.
Doesn't hit Drive to Survive.
That's an unbelievable name.
I don't hate it. I won't say that. No. I think it's a good name. I don't hate it. I don't know what else I would
Swing
pick
for the bling.
I think the tennis show is called Breakpoint, which I think is also better.
Yeah. What else are you gonna do? Like golf is there's no term that like hits you. Like our show is called Foreplay. It's like it's a play on like a sexual term. It's like there's no fucking word.
It is a play.
It's a play
Inside
on
the ropes.
Imagine Riggs just now was like, oh shit.
Our name is a play on blowjobs and like and like fingers
and heavy
on the
petting.
asshole. And fingers on the asshole, not inside, just on.
It's one of those things where when you get into that realm, everything that you do becomes cheesy. Like even like when if we were trying to do a segment for this show, like it gets boiled down to a point where, well, I'm talking about this sport and there's these buzzwords in this sport, and that's kind of my only area to go.
Yeah, so in the hole, like, what?
Yeah, they wanted to do. I think Inside the Ropes was kind of like the working title all year, but there are so many things that are like called Inside the Ropes. You know what I mean?
I would like for them to just take Inside the Ropes because like it's just Netflix and it's just going to be the show. Like that one I actually liked. That one.
The problem is I don't know that Inside the Ropes tells the average person it's a golf show because they don't know ropes. They know swing,
Right.
I think. But you're right, Trent. You're right. Like the one segment we do is called From the Gallery. Ooh,
But
wow.
that's the like.
Cool.
I could be wrong about this, but I remember when Spit and Chicklets was being formed and they were trying to figure out a name. They basically, I think somebody tweeted out like, "Here, you know, we're doing a hockey podcast. Like, submit names, and you only get the things that are like hockey lingo. So you're trapped by that because if you name it anything else, then people don't know what the fuck you're talking about."
I did the worst hockey show of all time with Julie Stewart-Binks and Young Page Hughes called Healthy Scratches. We were like forced.
Was I on one
this.
of those shows?
Yeah, you used to come on from time to time.
Yeah,
we wore like fucking suits because the Healthy Scratches would wear suits in the top. There was some thought put into that show, and it just could have been better. But we also didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. Like it was just not a great show, and we used to get made fun of in the middle of the office. We would record it in the middle of the office. Like Dave would walk by, and it's just like can't have this anymore. And I was such a pizza maker camera guy at that point. I was so in the mix with Dave. The fact that I was on that show is fucking an abomination.
But again, that name is
Healthy
it's hockey. It's
Yeah.
it's like it's that's
You're
just
right. You're like, wear the suits. That's like the cool gimmick, and you think like that's
No.
gonna make it go viral.
So bad,
Wearing
dude.
suits like the guys that are Healthy Scratches.
Well,
It's like, great.
something I don't like to think about. Makes
no,
my
this Netflix
fucking
thing is
fingertips
exciting though. I'm
hurt.
excited that Dan's involved. I'm excited as a fan, as a viewer, just to watch it because the year
too.
was so interesting. I want to see the interviews. I'm with Riggs. I want to see those parts where they're just kind of like in the guys' houses and they're just it's stuff that you don't see. That's the fucking interesting stuff, man.
We don't
February
need to learn
15th?
anything. We don't need to learn anything. Like I think you're stressing over like if someone's watching, are they going to get? This isn't like a 60 minutes. Like oh my god, you're not going to believe what we found after a year's worth of filming and like digging. This is just all the stuff that we already know happened in a more in-depth view, which is what a yearly recap show should be. That's what it is. It's a
Also-
yearly recap show with no boundaries. Like there's no tape. It's just like you get to watch what we've always wanted to watch. There's no bleeping out curse words and there's no, you know what I mean? It's just like the stuff we want to see.
To be clear, this is not a show for us.
Right,
we know
right.
everything that happened.
But
This
we
is a
are going to
show-
watch, and that's the
It
thing.
is a
They
show
know that
for
everyone's
us.
going to watch.
No, it's not. It's a show to get people to be more interested in golf. Like it's going to be a recap, like for the most part, because but it's a recap for us because we follow it every week. We do 2 podcasts a week about this sport. We know things that are happening. There are going to be things that we don't know, like during these interviews, the reactions like Riggs was talking about. But overall, we know that, these handful of guys went to live. Rory won the Tour Championship. Rory was kind of the spokesman. Like those are going to be the big points that they hit. So for a person who doesn't follow golf, that's going to be new information to them, and it's going to be super, super fun.
I just don't know how many people don't follow golf who will want to watch. Like there was a huge segment of sports fans who didn't watch F1, right? And so those are natural like target audiences. People who have no idea of golf, are those same people going to be attracted to watch the show?
Yeah.
That's my question.
I think so because, like, dude, they'll give it a shot. That's the thing, is I think they'll give it a shot because we're all the same. You scroll through fucking Netflix or whatever you're at for hours looking for something to actually watch, and so I think that will be front and center of like, oh, this is okay, Drive to Survive-ish, like cool. Like I did that with the tennis one, or I did that with Formula One. Like a lot of other people, I think they will do that. I also think like we're laughing like we're such hardcore golf people that like we're not gonna be able to enjoy. Like this is probably the first time we've talked about golf since September. Right. So it's not like it's not. I don't think I saw a single golf shot live this last weekend. So like everything next year's show from that, I'll be like, oh, amazing.
Also, but we keep looking at it like Trent. I think you're looking at it from an informational standpoint. Like, sure, it might not be catered towards us from an informational standpoint, but it's absolutely our show catered to us when it comes to like the enjoyment of seeing the guys that we literally talk about day in and day out do things that we've never get to see them do. That's like who this is catered to. It's like, do you want to see Justin Thomas sitting in his house? Like to the person that doesn't know who Justin Thomas is, how is that special? But to us, it's
we literally did that.
But it's like, but to us, it's like, holy shit. Like we get to see what their houses look like. We get to see them on the phone with like Liv and like all this stuff. Like we get to see the conversations in the locker room, maybe like all the looks that like Rahm maybe gives like Bryson or something like as he walks by him. Like that to us is so much more catered to us than the person like next door that's never seen a golf shot in his life.
But we better hope that the person. No, but we better hope the person next door who has never seen a golf shot is interested in those things too, because overall that you want to bring more people into the sport. F1 Drive to Survive brought way more people into the sport. Like the nuances that we are going to see are going to be hopefully interesting to everybody, because you got to set the table and be like, these guys don't like each other, or these guys like each other.
Drive to Survive gets a free pass of getting everyone to enjoy it just because of the sport and the nature of it. I think you guys mentioned that at the beginning. It's just like beautiful and like chaotic, and you kind of watch it because like you feel cool watching it. You're like, oh, I'm about to learn about a wild sport where guys go like 200 miles an hour and like they get off the track and they throw helmets at each other. You're kind of just like, that's a wild fucking sport. I don't know that golf's gonna really hit people like that, where it's like, oh my God, what's this sport where guys are hitting the white ball around? Like,
it is interesting.
Is it really going to shock people?
One thing I think that's going to be really cool, I think guys are going to be way more willing to talk shit about other guys in this show than they would be in like a press conference.
I hope that's true.
Because I think there's just something about the Netflix effect, which really doesn't make much sense, because if you talk shit about someone on Netflix, it's more people are going to see it than if you talk shit about someone in the media center. But for some reason, like, Netflix has that sex appeal, man. Like, it just does. You know, they're willing to let those guys and say things to those guys because they trust them that they're going to use it in a storytelling way, that it's not going to be just like a bullshit cheap shot. There's a level of trust that I think also these producers were at basically everything. And it was like the same 6 or 7 people. Shout out to the Dans and Pat and Ella. Like, those people were at every single tournament. So the players became very, very comfortable with them.
Yeah. I would say, though, I do think they're going to need to include, and if they do it right, it could really like resonate and intrigue people, some of the intricacies about golf. I think if they talk about guys using like Full Swing Simulator and trying to carry the ball an extra 15 yards by improving this, like, I think that will resonate with people and people will want to know that, versus just seeing somebody stand there and swing at a white ball. And I remember in Drive to Survive when they would talk about the little differences in the car, and you would see Hamilton back in the garage with guys for like 10 hours straight trying to get something right. I remember when Kobe, RIP, sat down with Dan and A-Rod, and he was going in depth, and I'm the least basketball guy ever, in depth about like how he defended people and studied so hard on a guy that he could go left 50% as well as he could go right, and Kobe would drive him left. For me, watching basketball, I just watch these assholes score 110 points a game. It seems like nobody's playing defense. I don't care. Now I'm listening to this being like, holy shit, like, I'm such an idiot. How hard he worked to be that good at defending day in and day out, so that there'd be a 6-point difference over an hour of basketball is amazing. And I think that a fan, you don't want to be treated like you're too dumb to understand anything, so they just give you surface level stuff. Like, you want just enough. And that's what a really good producer and editor has to do with, like you're saying, Dan. I'm almost worried they have too much footage, that like, who the fuck could go through that and do the best job of trying to entice people with the right amount of in-depth stuff, the right amount of like drama, so it's like you're watching Housewives, and the right amount of, we want to tell you about the sport so that you understand what's going on in general. Like, that's really, 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 really hard to do. And it's going to take, I think, like a Herculean effort for them to do it properly. And you just kind of have to hope they have the right team.
Yeah, it's like when an average person hears about Fitzy tracking every single one of his shots. So that's the kind of stuff that makes average fans be like, "Oh my God!" Like that's and that's the same thing with football. You watch these film breakdowns on YouTube and about line play, and you're like, I just thought that these guys just basically just backed up and you tried to stop the guy from getting the quarterback. So yeah, you're right. There is a lot of stuff, and yeah, I guess that's what they're going to have to lay some stuff out in the first episode. I think they're going to have to like explain what a birdie is, as crazy as that sounds. Because if you watch the first episode of F1, they're going to be like, this is what a Grand Prix is. This is how you get points. Like, I do think that there's going to be like a comment or something where it's like, you actually want to have a lower score in golf than high. You know, like, I think it might get to that level, but hopefully it's just the first episode and it's providing that education that you need to then go to the next level.
I watch a trailer on mute and I'm in.
Yeah.
I think it looks great.
The Netflix cameras are just sexy, man. Like,
dude, they're like
angles are just,
they're like 12K.
Yeah. It's like,
I'm in.
12K.
I'm in. got me.
It's
You
going
got
to
me
be
as a viewer.
extremely entertaining. There's no way it's going to be anything other than entertaining. Like
Roy McIlroy sitting down for an interview every time gets me. It makes my balls tingle.
Me too.
He's
Me too.
he's an interesting
Imagine
fella.
if he just sat down with an interview with us. It'd be really
great.
cool.
We watched them golf in a boring setting, and now we just get to watch them do it on Netflix. It's like cool.
Yeah,
It's
true.
different.
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's going to be great. February 15th. Check out the trailer. Dan's in it. Your voice is confirmed in it. I watched it on mute.
Yeah,
as well.
I say winning is so hard on the PGA Tour.
Okay, that's true.
Which is
Wow.
true. Fact
Great
check
time to
true
say
on
that.
that. Fact
Great
check
time
true.
to say that.
Yeah.
Really,
True.
really topical. All right. Couple more things, then we'll get out of here. John Rahm, I saw, would be a plus 13 handicap if you had posted his last, 15, 20 scores and then done the top 8, which is the handicap system. He would be a plus 13 handicap. I think I love that because I don't think people truly comprehend, even people that are super hardcore golfers like all of us on this show. I don't think people fully comprehend that difference because a lot of these guys, when you play with them, and Dan knows, like, their general thing is they play as like a +5, which I get because, like, if you're playing match play against people that suck, the stroke play versus match play thing really isn't that fair. And we talk a lot about it with Breaking 90, where it's like if a guy has 2 or 3 holes where he might have made a 7, 8, or 9, but the rest of the holes he plays okay, he would have lost by 50 strokes in a stroke play PGA Tour event, but he could compete getting only 10 shots or 20, 15 shots against a PGA Tour pro. And that made me very much like, oh, he's plus 13, no way. And then I was like, actually, if John Rahm played a round against an average, like, I don't know, 5 handicap and an average course, like, John Rahm might genuinely need to give that guy 18 strokes for it to be a match that is won 50% of the time by one guy and 50% of the time by another guy. And then another fun fact that we think of is like Alistair, because he's played in a few, I think he had to play in like a member guest or something last year that he got invited to. So he had to keep and post all his scores. And he, in like leading up to it, played lights out and shot a couple like 62s or something like that. And his handicap's like a plus 8.5 or something when he plays.
Wow.
So just thinking about like those numbers versus ours and how shitty we are at our handicaps is very funny.
I mean, Kapalua is, I think, rated like 75 or something. So, or 76 from the back tee. So that's 63 alone right there is a plus 13. Yeah, don't play against a pro at +5. Just don't do it.
Can I ask a stupid question?
Matt gives me 8, and I've lost more times than I've won.
So whenever I put out a Breaking 90, it's all people will just talk to me about tempo. They yell at me about my tempo and how horrible my tempo is. And they're just like, you're going way too fast all the time, and you got to slow it down. And I agree with them. It's something that I've been thinking a lot about and how I need to just slow everything down. Like you watch a Colin Morikawa and you feel like you're watching a golf swing in slow motion. But then you watch a John Rahm. What's the tempo talk on him? Because his is so violent and so short that, listen, I'm not trying to say like, you know, the tempo thing isn't true because of what John Rahm does, but it just feels like when you watch Rahm, it's the complete opposite of a Colin Morikawa.
Rahm's swing might be the most natural swing of any great player. It looks like it's had the least work done to it. I think a lot of it is because he was born with a club foot on his right foot, so He doesn't have that flexibility. So I don't think he can make as big a turn and as quick a backswing. He's just strong as an ox, and so he doesn't need to take it very far. But he's not the only one. Like Henrik Stensson's tempo is really, really quick also. And that guy was one of the best ball strikers in the world for 10 years. So it's just about matchups.
Fitz is crazy fast.
Yeah, Fitz is whippy as well. And Bryson when he hits driver. So yeah, I think the tempo is important for an amateur to feel like they're in sequencing. But these guys, I think, if it ain't
so
broke,
that's what I was going to say, Trent, is I think tempo, and this is one thing that I really struggle with when I'm hitting it like shit too. I think tempo for guys like us that like we just clearly don't use our body correctly a lot of the time. It's like armsy and fucking torso-y. It's like if you slow down your tempo, your body will naturally start to use the bigger muscles first, and they'll drag the smaller muscles behind. And if you get quick, you get casty and fucking over the top. Like John Rahm's not getting casty and over the top.
Because their hips are so fast through the hitting zone. That's that their body's
our hips
able
don't
to
exist,
keep up.
dude.
Right,
our hips
don't
don't
use my
exist.
hips.
My hips
going
are still
slower.
It's like
going slower, like allows you to be lucky just a few more times. In our sense of the game of golf, you know what I mean? Like things just kind of align. That's kind of what Tillery was talking to you about in the Breaking 90, where like if you just go slower, you have more of a chance of getting lucky where like your hips will actually rotate, the middle of your body will meet up with your arms as it makes impact. But if you're fast, you're taking all of that chance of it ever lining up out of the picture. It's always going to drag. But if you go slower, it might once in a while do it.
Feel versus real is so, it's such a mind fucking golf where I'll think to myself in a video like, oh, I went slow here, and it is lightning fast. And I almost can't, it's almost physically impossible for me to go as slow as I think that I'm going in my head. But I know that's kind of where I have to go.
During that episode, we were like, go so slow that it's embarrassing. And you couldn't even do it once in like a bay where like it didn't matter. Like you couldn't even, like you couldn't go as slow as you possibly could. Your brain refused to allow you to try and do that.
Right. Like in my head, I'm Colin Morikawa right now, but in reality, I am a speed demon.
Right.
I got
which is feel versus real.
Feel versus real is laughably true, and it's very embarrassing. Like when you're working on something and you're like, whoa, I exaggerated the fuck out of that. That's got to look like closer, and then you look and it's just the same. The whole like everything was just the same and shitty. You're like, well, what? How come I can't just do it? I'm watching all these people just do it.
My favorite feel versus real thing is I asked Matt Wolf once, and he was like, "My backswing feels completely normal, like completely normal." In my head, I'm doing exactly what everyone else is doing.
Jim Furyk says that too. He said the same thing. He's like, my backswing, my swing looks just like everybody else's. It's identical. In my like that's how I'm swinging it. Straight,
right? Like
not even close,
baby.
Film, baby. If film of Jim Furyk's swing didn't exist, he'd watch Freddie Couples and be like, "That's what I look like."
Right? Exactly.
Be like, is that awesome. Me? Is that guy's taller? That's not me.
It's really interesting.
A big tidbit I saw for our For the Cut bet. This is to Frankie's choice, Adam Scott. I saw on Dan's former employer's website, Golf Digest, a headline that just says, Adam Scott says his water time with surf legend Kelly Slater always becomes an enlightening experience.
Whoa.
He's going to play well.
So this is what I'm talking about. The guy's kind of changed his vibe over the last year. This new, this new coming of age. He's no longer the shades of brown and
did he take mushrooms
beiges.
Or something?
Ayahuasca.
Hopefully,
he's no longer the muted mushroom kicks it into color. He's gonna really change. He's really changing everything about him, and I really like Adam Scott going into this year. Watch out for Adam Scott in 2023.
You know, when a guy's talking about surfing, there's been a shift in something, and he'll talk about how like I'm in tune with the earth. I'm riding the wave of the gravitational pull. Surfing is a lot like life, in that you got to, when you see a good wave, you got to catch it and you got to take that opportunity. That feels like the mode that Adam Scott is in, and I'm into it.
You know what's cool about Adam Scott, and I've heard this also from players, is like you never see him. He's at the golf course and then he's gone.
That's true.
There are certain restaurants where guys go. There are certain clubs that guys hang out at. Not Adam Scott.
We saw Adam Scott at a restaurant.
Scotland.
Actually,
that's really a brutal.
No. I agree with you. He is the one guy who I honestly can't even picture off the course outside of the Indian restaurant that we saw him in Scotland at. But outside of that,
table right next to us. And we saw him again at the Swoken Bridge.
He's not.
So we saw him all over the place.
He's not an off the course headline guy at all. Like, no, I don't know what Adam Scott does.
I'm pretty shaken right now. I'm going to stop with
it. Was Dan, it was like a week before the Open, and St. Andrews is a tiny town, and like people weren't even really in town yet. So
okay, but like you're never going to see him at like you're not going to see him at the Bears Club, with all the like he's just not one for the scene. He goes.
I need everyone that's listening to the show to scour all their friend groups and just give me a picture of Adam Scott at the Bears Club right now, and then just get him like.
It is also funny because after we saw him at the Indian restaurant, Frankie then saw him at St. Andrews, which makes sense, I suppose. But Frankie just ran into him and took a picture with him. So we see Adam Scott.
We took a picture on the bridge. It's like with the ridiculous sunset in the background. It's one of the funniest pictures I've ever taken. So random. You guys were like, everyone went back to the hotel, and I just went out there to FaceTime my dad and show him like the 18th scene, 17, show him the road hole. And as I'm walking by the bridge at St. Andrews, there's just Adam Scott kind of just meandering around with all of those dogs around, and he's just like walking around. I'm like, Adam Scott. And he's like, yeah, what's up? And I was like, all right. And then I was on my phone FaceTime with my dad. And my dad's like, is that Adam Scott? I was like, yeah, it was Adam Scott. And then was like, "You want to take a picture on the bridge?" He's like, "Yup." We just did. And then someone like his guy just like took a photo of us and like texted it to me, and it was over. And then I never saw him again.
Amazing. Well, he's enlightened this week because he gets water time with surf legend Kelly Slater. So he's pumped about that. Reminder to hurry if you're listening to this early in the morning on Thursday. But the For the Cut bet under exclusives on the Barstool Sports app, we got Adam Scott, Zach Blair, Matt Kuchar, and JJ Spawn to make the cut, boosted to plus 425. So let's get that puppy going at the Sony Open. Anybody have anything else? I think we're pretty much good here. I had a comment just about the California storms and flooding that's been hammering some of the more famous golf courses and regions in America. I saw Monterey Peninsula Country Club was getting like wiped out by tidal waves. Pretty fucking surreal scene. I hope everybody's as safe and sound as they could be, our friends over in California.
There's a video of the 16th green at Cypress, the famous hole, where it looks like something straight out of The Day After Tomorrow. The waves are like crashing on the cliffs behind it. California's getting pelted.
Does anybody know the science behind this? What did I see? Some kind of like certain special story. Like, what's going on? How come this just never happened?
My parents are living in California. They said it's being called on the local news as an atmospheric river.
That's bad.
Feels
Anything
like
atmospheric on that
feels
level
like a made up term though. Like
bad.
This is why you got to buy farms in Iowa.
Yeah,
because of weather like
I think
this.
that's right. I think that's
California
correct.
always just stuns you with some of the stuff that the environment can do out there. It's the most beautiful place ever, and then all of a sudden, just like crazy movie like stuff happens.
But you remember
You know
the videos of the fires that were like right next to the highway?
The fires are insane. The earth literally just like
crazy.
cracks open and things just like fall into it. It's wild out there. It's fucking wild out there.
Yeah,
it's like on tectonic. It's on plates, right? Is that why?
Yeah,
It's
it's right on the edge. What's that plate called? Or that fault line?
San Andreas Fault. San Andreas Fault. They made a movie with The Rock, I think, right?
Yeah,
San
jumping
Andreas
out of
Fault
helicopters into buildings.
Basically just a giant crack in the earth because two massive tectonic plates come together. And that thing, if you really looked at it, that thing in the theory just cracks and shakes by if you looked at the long-term like amount of time that Earth has been around, that thing cracks and creates havoc all the time. Like if we see it, like if it happens once every 50 years, we're like, oh, it's once every 50 years over the course of billions of years.
All the time.
All the time. That thing is just chaos.
And they expect it to go off again. There's this famous article called The Big One is all about like there's going to be a massive, massive earthquake in the San Francisco area that's going to be catastrophic.
All right, fine. We'll
We'll
all move to Iowa. Let's do it. Let's all just move to Iowa. It's fine. It works out for me great. But yeah, I mean,
what are the natural disasters? Just like
tornadoes.
Tornadoes. That's about it. Yeah,
tornadoes
fuck up the Midwest, man.
They fuck them up. And a couple of years ago, Cedar Rapids got hit by maybe the worst derecho in history, and it took down derecho.
What's a derecho?
This is the thing that it's like. It's basically a hurricane on land.
Just like a really nasty storm.
It fucked up Cedar Rapids bad, really bad. Tons of trees
tornadoes
were gone.
like a handful of years ago, there was a couple tornadoes that went through St. Louis and actually fucked up the St. Louis airport. One of the terminals got like its roof ripped off and stuff.
Yeah,
so
that's what you got to worry about.
Strike anywhere,
but no
Joplin,
tectonic
Missouri.
plate talk. I don't believe out in the
Are tornadoes ever like they literally come out of nowhere and you don't have time to like get out, or are they typically like warning?
Nowadays, I wouldn't say nowhere, but like for all intents and purposes, if you're just inside your home. Yeah, they would come out of nowhere. Like you don't, but if you're outside, you kind of see the sky starting to get a little bit dicey, but it's not like it has to be severe storm for like hours and then a tornado might appear. Like they could kind of come out of nowhere.
If you're outside on the lead up to a tornado, it's creepy.
It's very creepy.
The tornado movie is one of the more creepy movies I've ever seen.
The sky gets a weird greenish yellow and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here?
One time,
have you ever seen one in person?
Yeah,
wow. Yeah.
Like a big one, like a storm chaser one. Okay,
no,
you saw like the Jesus.
Saw a tornado, small one. Most of them are very small, but like, and they don't do a ton of damage, but they're very small. But you see a big one like an F4, F5 or something. I mean, if you see it, it's bad news. You need to be gone. They're fucking like hundreds. They're massive. But one time we were at the Lake of the Ozarks on like this similar boat to the one that we rented when we were at Table Rock Lake. We were out there probably in mid-20s or something with a bunch of our buddies. Our parents had left us the boat, and we were going to pull it out and drive it back up to St. Louis. And we're out there, and Trent, as we're out there, we start to get some wind and like light rain, and like the lake water starts to white cap a little bit. Now, white caps out there aren't like 10-foot waves, right? But they're like a couple feet or so. It starts to white cap.
Right.
And then we looked up, and you saw that hint of like greenish, bluish mix sky with the clouds were in that way where they weren't like cumulonimbus or whatever the fuck. They were like almost like they were like the top of a cave where they were like all, you know, like dripping down. The clouds were almost, and we were like, holy fuck. And it was any port in a storm. We went to the nearest dock. We ran into this like convenience store at the dock, and they luckily had like, because you guys know that part of the country, the Ozarks, they had like a cave nearby that they actually put their like cooler and a bunch of their storage in, and we hid in this like cave for an hour or something and came out, and turned out there were a handful of tornadoes in the area. It was fucking horrifying.
Dude, there's nothing like that green sky where you're just like, this is going to be bad real soon.
Oh God, bad news. All right. Well, that's all I got. Everybody enjoy your weekend. The show's coming out on Thursday. I can't remember if it was Tuesday or Thursday show, but it's Thursday show. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for listening. Thank you to our sponsors, Chevy, Whoop, and Rocket Money. Thank you to TaylorMade for coming out with the Stealth 2 that Tiger Woods loves.
Very
and
nice.
even when he shanks one, it goes straight. So that's awesome. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.